And today I wanted to talk a little bit more about my favorite topic, Starseeds Astrology. Could you tell? Okay, so today I want to talk about a specific aspect on the Starseeds Astrology report, and that involves the North and South Node. Let me open up my document and I'll start sharing with you. Here's what I mean by a North Node. In our Starseeds calculator, if you remember, hi, and welcome back to the Ascension Playground. My name is Ursie, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite subject. Just love it. It's the Starseeds Galactic Astrology. There's something very profound about learning the language of astrology, whether it's Western or Vedic or other, and then adding in the fixed stars and then a whole galactic consciousness to how we look at ourselves within this cosmos. It's so fascinating. I think the advent of this year, 2022, after coming from several years of hibernation, that there's something going on in the cosmos. So this light language, speaking toward the idea of a galactic language, how we know ourselves as more multidimensional beings, it's up. It's up for me and it's up for so many around the world. So I know I say this often, but you can always start your journey by looking at that free online calculator that Julia Balaz created with her friend Hector. And it's at www.starseedsastrology.com. Let me show you what a report looks like, in case this is your first time tuning in. Okay, here is a chart. I'm going to come up here and you'll see Starseed Report, Mobile Meaning, Astro Degrees. And I am in the calculator, the Natal Chart Calculator. So what you do is you plug in your birth information. You must have the time, and then you start typing in your birth city. You hit calculate. The calculator spits information out here, copy and paste it over on this corner. And when that happens, you hit the word import natal chart, and voila. You then scroll down, and I have selected the extended report showing the trines, sextile squares, and the degrees. So here is a chart. Today, I'm going to focus in on, well, first we have a sun line, a moon line, an ascendant line, and today's discussion is going to be around the North Node. That's what NN means, and South Node, a North and a South Node. This chart happens to have the North Node in Leo. Leo, 8 degrees and 18 minutes, in house number 11. Okay, and then we're going to see all these star nations. This is star nation stuff, the constellation Andromeda, constellation Hyades, Taurus, and Scorpius, working with the North Node in the 11th house for this chart. Now, the North Node points to our life destiny. We'll just use that as some fun narrative. What we're here to learn and do. The South Node, you see SN for South Node. In this chart, it's in the 5th house with Aquarius, 8 degrees, 18 minutes. Working with the same star nations, Andromeda, Hyades, Taurus, Scorpius. However, you might notice some of the aspects are very different. Trine and sextile, sextile, trine, and then square and square. That's a little bit more advanced. Let me stop sharing for just a minute. The advanced level is to help us understand what all those aspects mean. What's the story behind those star nations? But if you just pause for a minute, I know globally many are awakening and they want to know, why am I here? I've done everything right. I went to school, maybe I went to college, I even got an advanced degree, I worked in the world, I made money, I had a family, but I feel like now I'm sitting in 2022 and I'm not sure what my purpose or why I'm here. Well, the narrative around astrology is when you follow your North Node, it's like the head of the dragon. This is how they call it in the Asian cultures. The head of the dragon is the North Node. The dragon wants to experience something very specific, your dragon. And then the tail, which is the South Node, that is where you've come in from past lives. That is your karmic. Could show you people you've come in with. It could also show you lessons you're trying to learn still. And the South Node feels comfy. We know it, we recognize it. It's just part of us, the South Node. So parents listening that have children, it's oftentimes good to see where they've come in with their South Node, what special gifts. But the real answer lies in the challenge each soul has set for itself to follow your head of the dragon, move towards your destiny. But that destiny is typically filled like a hero's journey. You remember, like in Greek mythology, the hero has to sail off, have these adventures, and basically meet specific criteria through challenge, and then find a way to make the hero's journey back home. Okay, that mythos is within the North and South Node of every single natal chart. How do you get your natal chart? You really need to find not just your birth date and birth location. Your birth time is critical because it sets in motion the whole chart. Things are moving, but that moment of time, boop, it's like doing the Kodak, instant moment. Here's your wardrobe. Here's your stage set. Here's the costumes and here's the planets that you're going to play with and the people you're going to dance with. So everything sets up according to the narrative of astrology based on those three factors: date, time, and location. But I digressed. Let's get back to the nodes. Let me pause for just a moment and I'll be right back. So the North and South Node, think of that picture of the head of the dragon and the tail of the dragon, and your soul at the moment of birth accepting, yes, I've made a pre-agreement. This is the area and focus of my life destiny, perhaps, or purpose. So a lot of this is just working with archetypal energy, the metaphor. I like to say, once upon a time, a soul wanted to be born, and finding its path of what it came in with and where it wanted to be challenged, we look at the nodes. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again with you because I'm going to move now into some of the course discussion through Julia Balaz. If you ever decide to take her one of her online courses called Your Life Purpose Astrology. This is not the practitioner's course. It's a specific understanding life purpose. Here we see Julia talking about the South and North nodes are where the points in this diagram. Here we go. We have Earth. We have the sun, which is the circle with the dot going around the Earth. And then here's the moon's orbit around the Earth with the sun. So the moment of your birth to get the South and North node is where the moon intercepts the Earth's orbit as it's going around the sun. Wow, so that's my little graphic. If you don't mind, I'm going to scroll down. When Julia reminds us, it's not just the dragon's head, it's also true north. What's your true north? You'll find that in your North node. So let me scroll in here to move this. Here's a nice little diagram Julia also shares. The North node, it looks like a headphone set. So if you start reading astrology charts or looking up astrology, North is always represented by this particular glyph, like a headphone. The south looks more like a container, a vessel. Okay, let's start with the south node, the tail of the dragon. These are just some key words to consider as you hold space for, okay, my soul is here. What did I sign up for? Well, let's look at where you came from first. Depending on the house and the sign that your node sits in for the south node, we can look at this as a place where we might find our instincts. Remember I said it feels familiar to us? It's where we came from and what we already know. I love that. It is the past. And karma is typically tied up with the past. And I don't mean karma necessarily in a bad way. It can just be, okay, if there's anything left to be, returned to, so you resolve it. It's just like in a grade. If your grade, you didn't pass the class, so you're back to resolve and balance energy, either with people, places, or very specific happenings in your life. Let's see. Going on the other side of the north node, where are you headed? Julia likens the north node to Jupiter, whereas the south node is likened to Saturn. With those words, think of Jupiter as Zeus, expansion, jovial, big, 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 the king of Olympus, all right, or the god, the primary god of Olympus, where Saturn is much more constriction, father time, boundaries. The north node is more expansive. In this diagram, Julia says the north node points us to our calling or our mission. Again, there's so many of us who are wondering, why am I here? I've just been through this period of hibernation, global hibernation. For some of us, it wasn't pretty, but it gave time to get this deeper introspection. So why am I here? Let's look at your north node. It's also going to show us where we are headed, what we need to learn, or maybe that word need, what we chose to come in to learn. Okay, it represents the future, the unknown, a challenge, and perhaps even our destination. Isn't that kind of a fun word? Our destiny, our destination, north and south nodes. Did I got your attention? If so, I'm going to pause again because I have some really cool stuff to share with you about each of the nodal positions as we go around the zodiacal signs. So let's have fun with the north node. If you can find where your north node is, I'd like to go around the 12 houses of the zodiacal wheel, and let's just see and play with 12 very specific destinies and see if one of them resonates with you when you look at your own chart, or if you don't even have your chart, just see which one are you most challenged by. Because remember, the south node, we come in and there's ease, it's familiar, but we've decided to come into this incarnation and challenge ourselves in some way. So sit back and let me recite from house 1 through house 12, and let's see if one of them resonates for you. Okay, if you look up in the Starseeds Astrology report and you find that your north node sits in the first house, then perhaps you will be feeling challenged by fully expressing yourself, your true self. You may be a people pleaser, and this is the lifetime now to say, okay, but this is who I am, and here I am, and speak your truth. Okay, that would be if your north node is in your first house. In the second house, your challenge will be around your self-worth and how to express yourself in the material world. Okay, the second house. If you've come into the second house with the north node, it may be easier for you to sit back, let other people make decisions for you. But in this case, now you have to say, no, I value this. I value this love. I value this wealth. I value this particular something. You have to almost step out and say, I'm worth it. Okay. In the third house, if your north node sits in the third house, you're going to be challenged by being in the moment and learning how to communicate and to be in your own environment. So it's more of a communication. Can you, instead of staying up in the lofty heavens, can you communicate so people can understand at a very grassroots level, okay? If your North Node sits in the 5th house, wait a minute, I skipped one. If your North Node sits in the 4th house, okay, the challenges will be, unfortunately, around family, even your physical home. My computer's, or my printer's talking to me. The 4th house North Node will be about your emotional foundations. It's going to be, you've signed up for some pretty strong emotional turbulence. So power through and know, if you know the North Node is in the 4th house, those trauma dramas from family were predestined. So how are you going to work with it? In the 5th house, if your North Node sits there, well, the challenges will be with your birth children. The children you gave birth to. It'll be with your creativity, perhaps creative blocks. It'll be about the expressions from your heart and expressing yourself. This is taking that center stage. Instead of sitting back with the choir, you're saying, this is me, and I'm going to give a solo. Okay, if your North Node sits in the 6th house, the challenges that you've agreed to come and learn from will be around your day-to-day work, your routine. It could be around your small pets, and it could even be around your health and your body. So if you've had constant health issues, just know, okay, if I signed up for this and I see it and there's proof that my North Node sits in my house of health, how am I gonna work with that? You know, how do I power through that? How do I sit with that knowledge now and move forward? If your North Node sits in the 7th house, the challenges will be around your relationships. It's the one-on-one relationships. It's marriage. It's a very intimate business partnership. You know, it could be you and a counselor. That's the challenge from the 7th house. If it's, oh, my little puppy. Looks like I have to be right back for my little puppy. See you soon. So if we're looking at the North Node in your 8th house, the 8th house, this is your calling and your destiny to work with your intimate relationships. It's very deep, and you might have to deal with a lot of death and rebirth and transformation. It can be death in different ways, like I'm going to just ad lib here. It's like the death of one identity, and then you move to your next identity, whether that's through a marriage or a job or a career change. But there's this idea of the North Node in your 8th house. You're going to be dealing with transformation quite a bit. And just know that as you embrace that, it's the blessings come. This is true for all of the houses. So even though it might be saying, I'm, framing this as, well, this is the tip of the spear, the dragon's head. It's new territory. So you can hold that space for it's new territory, but how do I want to navigate? Because I've agreed to go this way. So moving now to the 9th house. If you've agreed to move into the 9th house with your North Node, this would suggest that, higher education, travel, and being able to speak your personal truth. These are the wisdom truth holders, the philosophers. You might feel more comfortable just doing the chit chat, keeping it really pedestrian. But the North Node in the 9th house is saying, it's time to go do some long distance traveling and speak to a higher consciousness. Okay, so you might be even a homebody. I just want to stay home and chit chat. No, you're going to be asked to move into the unfamiliar in the 9th house. Now, if the node for your north node, your true north is in the 10th house, this is the house of career and vocation. And this would include even what we would, think of, it's not necessarily your work. A vocation could be motherhood, fatherhood, and staying at home. So it's this idea of the 10th house is how your public reputation is. So let's say I'm a mom, but my reputation in the school, that's what we're talking about in the 10th house. It's the step by step. This is the pinnacle, and the 10th house with the north node sits in there. You may not want to be seen out in the world, out in public. You might prefer to be home, but your north node is calling you to step out into the world. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too confusing. Now, if your north node is in the 11th house, the 11th house, I always like stopping here at the 11th house. It's the Aquarian house. So this is learning through your destiny, how to receive love through your friendships. How do you receive love through your like-minded groups? Oh, maybe I'm pausing here because that's where my north node is. How to work with friendships and groups and networks by even helping to co-create this Ascension Playground on YouTube. That was me stepping out in unfamiliar ground. It might look easy from where you sit watching me, but it took a lot to kind of bust my rather stay hidden, rather keep learning and not necessarily sharing. So with my north node in the 11th house, I know that this is where I'm going to find the blessings of my destiny. So hello. Now, if your north node was in the 12th house, take a deep breath. This is the House of Pisces. This is where you're going to be asked to really sit with having faith in the unseen. You're almost like in the tarot, the fool that steps off the mountain, knowing that somehow Spirit's going to meet you and will be there for your next footing. The 12th house with your north node. Would be interesting to hear from anyone who has a north node in the 12th house. You're really here to dissolve karma. You've made it all the way around the wheel and you've chosen the house that is really the most psychic of the houses. It's the vast consciousness of all. So, but you may not like to play that. You might want to be more Virgonian and just say day to day, keeping it real. But this idea of the dream world, that might be where your north node will also move you into the world of dreaming and trusting those dreams. Well, sorry, this went a little bit long. I know there's 12 houses to get through, but in Julia's courses, you learn that if you have a client and you're just going to do a mini reading, it helps to really identify and see where in the Starseeds astrology chart, I know this is all messy, but here's where it says North Node, South Node, and later we're going to learn how the star nations impact the nodal positioning. Okay, that sounded rather large, nodal positioning. Okay, hope you had fun. Until next time, see you later on the Ascension Playground. Bye for now.